Welcome to the Board of Public Works and Safety meeting this evening. It's Monday, August 10th at 5 p.m. Would you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next up on the agenda are the minutes from July 27th, the regular meeting. Oh, yeah. Roll call, please. Carol.
Mayor Sheets.
Here.
Greg Miller.
Present.
Megan Sheets.
Present. Now we're ready for the minutes from July 27th.
I will make a motion to approve the July 27th minutes as submitted.
Roll call, please.
Mayor Sheets.
Aye.
Greg Miller.
Aye.
Megan Sheets. Aye.
Next on the agenda is the approval of claims. We've moved this on the agenda, so hopefully we won't forget it when we get finished with the meeting. So I would take a motion to approve the claims.
I'll make a motion to approve the claims as reported.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mayor Sheets.
Aye.
Greg Miller.
Aye.
Megan Sheets. Aye.
Okay, next on the agenda is public comments.
We do have a public comment sheet.
I gotcha.
Okay.
There are no comments.
No comments? Okay, thank you. Okay, next on the agenda is the police department, and I believe Scott Shoemaker is with us by phone. Is that correct, Danny?
That's correct.
Yes, hello.
Hi, Scott.
The first thing on our report tonight is the mandated training. Can you hear me well? Because all I hear is myself.
We can hear you.
Yes, we can hear you.
You guys are, pull that towards you a little bit. You're a little hard to hear. Okay. Go ahead, Scott.
Okay, the COVID-19, it's been hard to have people come and read. I found a mandated course to be done online. It's worth about 4 hours of training at the cost of $550. Overtime for this training for 27 people will be about $2,800. So in light of the keeping people away from each other for COVID, I'd like board's approval to have this company allow us to do our training online for our mandated training.
Okay, so are you asking permission, you say, to do, it was hard for me to understand you for sure. Are people to do all your mandates online, is that correct?
Yeah, we have to have 24 hours of training here. This will take care of the mandates such as human trafficking, child abuse, elderly abuse, those types of events.
And I didn't understand you for sure, but is there a cost associated with that as well?
Is there a what?
Cost. $40.
Yeah, $540,
Okay.
and it would come from the training fund budget.
Scott, is this training that the employees will take during their scheduled hours?
Yes, it can be done. It doesn't have to be done. Once it starts, you don't have to finish it right away. It's different modules, so they can do. We'll give them a few months to get it done. That way, it's not overtime. They won't be training for 4 hours straight on shift.
Okay.
But yes, it'll be done on duty.
Thank you.
Do you want to make a motion for this?
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we accept with the approval mandated training officer for the police department.
I'll second. Roll call, please.
Mayor Sheets.
Aye.
Greg Miller.
Aye.
Megan Sheets.
Aye. And that was approved for you, Scott.
Okay, thank you. The next item that we have is, as you know, in March, we started the hiring process, and we are at the final position. The pension board is asking the Board of Works to hire Madison Douglas. He is a Clinton Prairie graduate, Purdue University graduate, and has passed the physical, mental, and emotional standards as determined by a medical doctor. We're just currently waiting for her enrollment into the Indiana Public Retirement System. So I would ask that you would hire Madison Douglas, pending her acceptance into her.
Is this going to be your recommendation, Scott, for the hire?
Yes, Madison will make a great addition to our department. So yes, I do support that.
Yes, I'd like to make a motion that Madison Douglas be approved as a new hire. I know she's very, I was very impressed during the interview process with the Board of Works. So it's my great pleasure to make that motion.
And that will be pending her acceptance by Brooke, is that correct?
Yes, thank you, Greg.
Is that
Roll call, please, Carol.
Mayor Sheets. Greg Miller.
Aye.
Megan Sheets.
Aye. Okay, Scott,
Yeah, I would ask that when we have a hiring date, then we would have a private swearing-in ceremony with them.
okay, when you hear back from them, just let me know and we'll get set up to get her sworn in.
Okay. Other than that, we have our law enforcement academies delayed. We may be into next year before we're able to send Officer Bates or Officer Madison Douglas once she's hired. That's a 600-hour mandatory training for a new officer that's supposed to be completed within the first year, but they have extended that to 2. School patrol is started last Thursday, and we're working with our crossing guards and our patrol staff to ensure that children are safe walking and riding to school. And also, our last 5 explorers, 4 explorers are in. We're just waiting to get them outfitted with move over outfitters and lock. They're waiting on parts due to COVID-19.
Scott, I do have a question. On the school crossing guards, did we sign new contracts with them this year? I think we normally do.
No, I worked with, I talked to HR and they don't, none of us really know the history of those contracts, part-time employees, so we just put them on as part-time employees. So I don't, you might check on that.
I didn't think they were.
No other part-time employees signed a contract for the city that I know of, or she knows.
It's something, I don't know, I think we better look at that because something's been ongoing for several years now. So could somebody get that contract to let them know what it was?
Yeah, I can get you done.
They're a little bit different than a regular part-time person, and they should, I think before, we went back through the drug testing with them when they came back on for the following year, so that's something I think we need to check into.
Yeah, the other issue is we can't pay them $11 an hour for an hour a day. I can't get anybody to be a substitute crossing guard, so we'll need to address the pay as well.
Okay, until the salary ordinance changed, though, there's really nothing we can do on that. And I don't know, we have to look at your budget for this year to see what kind of money you have left for the rest of the year. And then it's something we could always
Yeah,
address in next year's budget.
We cut one position through attrition on a road intersection that did not feel the crossing guard was necessary. So we have extra money there. The problem is I'm paying police department employees overtime to cover crossing guard spots. We're paying more anyway for those people.
Could you come back with us for suggestions on that as to what you're thinking that would be? Isn't it per day? Is that what we pay? I don't have my salary ordinance right in front of me. But I was thinking.
Yeah, it's $23 a day, and filling the positions isn't hard. It's the part-time, it's the fill-ins. There's not many people that can want to come out for $11 in a morning or afternoon. So I covered the middle school on Thursday in the afternoon, and then if we have enough officers working, we will cover them with officers. But hopefully we can work on that, and we'll come up with a recommendation.
Yeah, why don't you come up with a recommendation, and it would probably maybe be your council medic or the finance or somebody that you can make the recommendation, and then we would do an amendment to the salary ordinance, which would take 3 readings. So it's gonna take some time to get that accomplished. They'll have to stay at the rate it is right now.
Yeah, and the last thing on that contract is the school closes. The contract requires us to pay. I don't know what city, we dealt with this last year. I don't know if we paid all part-time workers or not, but that contract, the way it's written, requires 26 or bi-weekly fees through the year. So that was the kind of the issue we had last year, if you recall, Mayor.
Yeah,
That
they
we
did
stopped
get paid.
payment.
They did get paid through the end of the year.
They did get.
Yeah.
Right, they did get paid. Contract required us to pay them whether they.
Right, yeah, and that's one thing I think we really need to look at that contract for that reason. It's a little bit different situation than a regular part-time person. We've even paid him his contractuals before, and not even taken the tax out. I think right now we're back to their own payroll, but I still think we probably need a contract because of liabilities and that type of thing. So if you get back with us on that, thank you. Did you have anything else?
No, that was it.
Okay, did anybody else have anything for Scott? Next we'll move on to the fire department, John Kirby.
You brought him.
Makes me want to karaoke. All right. Only have one thing to bring to you guys. Some parents today. Quotes to outfit the new vehicles we received. Right now, left in post safety 6 account, which is to account for the vehicles. We have $7,676 left, and I brought you guys 3 quotes. Like I was telling Greg before the meeting, it's hard to compare apples to apples when we have 3 different products. So you're going to see a wide range of pricing here. So for Bartley's LED outfitter, we're looking at for 2 vehicles, $5,638. AV4 LLC, $9,900, and Move Over Outfitters, $10,438. No more than what we want done. I mean, I'm okay with going with the lowest bid. I did some research on this company. This company's been in business for 5 years. The guy who owns the company, Landon Bartley, he has been in this line of work for over 20 years. He runs a small little shop out of Rushville, What I like about him as well is he gets the parts in. His parts are everything's made in Texas, so it's US built. They would ship it to him, and then he would bring the vehicles in. And he said he wanted the vehicles in more than 3 or 4 days. It's been my experience with other companies. You go over there and your vehicles are there for 3 or 4 weeks, depending on when they get the products in. He just did a Kirkland Town Marshal's vehicle for Brandon Bright. It's a Dodge as well, the same as ours. And we checked it out. Everything looks professionally done. They seem to be happy with that. They also gave us Carroll County's EMS director's new vehicle. He's getting ready to do that. He hasn't done that one yet. He's in Greentown PD, Galveston PD, and he has a lot of others that he has done. We can check out if we wanted to, he said. So, anyways,
Do you have any questions?
I know the Phoenix, they're built, I said, in Texas. The equipment is in move over. They're built in Michigan. And the other way I understand it, all their parts are made in China and shipped to California and assembled. So we're talking half the price between move over and Bartley's LED outfitter.
Is there I see on one of the quotes, John, he has a completion date. Do you have one on Bartley's? I think 84, says 14 business days to order and 4 or 5 to install.
He said as soon as his stuff comes in, it'll take him 3 to 4 days that he would have, vehicles in and out. Like I said, I don't think his company is as big as Move Over. And I mean, Move Over, some of Scott's taking 4 police cars over there. He does a lot of stuff with state police, Lafayette Police Department. If you go there and look at his lot, I mean, he's got vehicles lined up, ready to go in and get out. And I think it takes a little bit longer to get through there. And like I said, we're double the price, no more than what we want. I mean, we're looking at a brow light, rear window, 2 mirror lights go on the bottom of the mirror, and then 4 corners, for all 4 corners LED, and then 2 grill lights. So, I mean, we don't light our vehicles up as much as a police vehicle or, like I said, a battalion chief vehicle who's, want to be going red lights and sirens to, every call, or same with our EMS vehicle as well.
Is it your recommendation to accept Bartley's proposal?
Yeah, I would like to give him a chance. Like I said, I've talked to guys who have used him, and I've got Taylor Brandon Bride's Town Marshal vehicle, Kirkland, and he seems to do a professional job. And I asked him how his quote can be so much cheaper, and the way I understand it, he don't only install the stuff, but he's also a dealer of the product, so he actually gets it in cheaper, so he's able to give it to us cheaper.
Yeah, I'll make a motion that upon Chief Kirby's recommendation, that we accept the quote from Bartley's LED outfitter.
I'll accept that. I'll second that.
Roll call, please, Carol.
Mayor Sheets.
Aye.
Greg Miller.
Aye.
Megan Sheets.
Do you have anything else, John?
That's all I have, unless you guys have any questions for me.
I'm good. Okay, thank you, John.
Thank you. We shut this off.
No, it's okay.
Jason will get him next. Jason Forsythe, Street Department.
First thing I want to go over was David Fry, the pastor of Bible Holiness Church, got a hold of me last week, and I met with him this week. Actually, he got a hold of me last week. We got together Monday. I guess it was last Friday we met. But anyway, they are moving their school back over to Lawrence Street. And the speed limit signs and they don't have a crosswalk over there. The school doesn't have a playground, so they go across to Green Street Park quite a bit, and then they own 3 acres. This is about the 1800 block of Lawrence Street. They own about 3 acres on the north side of the street as well, where they put soccer goals and things of that nature over there. But they're moving from the Rossville Avenue location over to Lawrence Street location, which years ago, at Bible Holiness Church, was a school as well. They used it as a school back then. Anyway, I met with them, and the way they had the signs set up right now, as far as the slow children play and speed limit signs, we're going to need to adjust where those are at, change the location of those, and then the ones on the north side, we're going to have to move back east on the same side of the road, and the ones on the south side, we're going to have to move further east, so it's a little bit closer to the school. And then I had I figured you guys would probably approve it, so I had Craig Rutledge do a crosswalk that'll go across to that location where that extra 3 acres is, and then they can take that and kind of angle over towards Green Street Park if the kids want to go there. But that was something we've done in the past for the crosswalks. We put one down in front of Walters down there for their people to go back and forth from the parking lot to their location. And this is going to be all age kids. So I just want to get the board works approval to change the speed limit signs down to 20, some of them are 30. They're 20 on down to the entrance of Walsh anyway because of Suncrest. So this would just be the same on down further for the location. Will now be a school at the church there. Looks like to me they're doing a ton of work on the basement of the church, ripped everything out, redo down below for classrooms. And they're going to put some things up, playground stuff up on the back side of the church/school. But they're still going to need to cross the street. So, which is just a few bucks to get that done. Craig's out doing those things all the time. So I just wanted to basically get the approval for the board works to change that from 30-mile-an-hour zone to 20-mile-an-hour zone, and we can go ahead and change the location and sign. So,
Questions for him? Probably, if they're going to open a school back and use it as a school zone, it's probably really considered.
that's basically what these are. Slows children to play school zone. School zone and speed limit sign will be on the same post. And on the other side, we're going to put it on one of the old posts that don't look very good down out of the ground. All four get pushed out of the ground if you can. Put it up on the light pole or top. Is always in favor of that. So we put on that same side, we'll do the same thing. School zone and speed limit down there is 20.
I'll make a motion that Jason's recommendation, we alter the school zone area accordingly for the move of the church and the school. Your designated area, just suggested.
Thank you. Basically, right now, just so the board knows, one's going westbound or on the other side of the school. They're on the west side of the school, and on the east side of the school. That's the only really difference. And they're going eastbound. And obviously, Lawrence Street is heavily traveled. That's another reason. going eastbound. They're the closest one is all the way down, almost to the point of Lincoln Park, and these two closer to the school.
I'll second the motion.
Roll call, please, Carol.
Mayor Sheets.
Aye.
Greg Miller.
Aye.
Megan Sheets.
The other two things, thank you very much. The other two things that I have are just department updates. The new leaf machine we purchased several months ago will be delivered on Wednesday or on Thursday morning about 9 o'clock. And then Shane Langemeyer from Best Equipment will be in about 2 o'clock to go over the machine with the rest of the guys and let them take a look and answer any questions that we might have. But, so we're looking forward to that. Looking forward to having a third one that we can use this fall. So
Very helpful this fall for us. It's like a nice piece of equipment.
and another bit of good. I got with NDOT, sent all my information in as reference to paving, and she has approved that and asked for from NDOT. Once we get that purchase order, then we can move forward once Milestone gets us on schedule. I did talk to Carla Sheets at NDOT. She said it usually takes 7 to 10 days to get that purchase order. And so I went ahead and called Milestone, gave them notice to proceed. It's basically an email letting them know get it started on schedule. So we do that. You know, that way we're not waiting 7 to 10 days to get the purchase order and then getting them notice to proceed. We can do that ahead of time. So we have to get to go with NDOT. So hopefully in the next couple of weeks, 3 weeks, we'll hear something. We're doing some paving.
Sounds good.
That's all I have.
Thank you, Jason. Appreciate it. Next up, Don Stock from Building Services.
Good evening, board. I'm going to go over the permit report for July. You have it all in front of you. We collected $6,496 in revenue this month for the month of July. Now, the evaluation there is a little off skewed, where it's $29 million. When you take the fact that the water treatment plant got started, and then Frito Lay has 2 projects. They actually have about 5 or 6 projects going on out there right now. So that number is a little skewed. We've had 30 residential remodels out of 124 permits, 31 roofs. I highlighted for myself 3 certificate of occupancy. The reason why I highlighted it because that's one of our challenges that we have. There's a lot of businesses in town that don't think that they, or just don't know that they're supposed to have one. So we're locking up with Kevin Captain, the fire marshal. He goes out on a monthly basis. So he's been giving us his schedule. So we go over that, find out who's in, who's out, and we'll go out together so that we can stay with Kevin and not have to make multiple runs to the same place. There is a permit extension that need to be voted on, and a waiver for a permit that we haven't done yet, that we will do. And the permit extension goes to 508 South Clea Street at Leah Thompson. She's doing a garage remodeling and a residential remodeling, and she needs about 45 days as normal. Daniel goes out and makes sure how far along she's doing, if she's made what we believe is good enough strides to continue the process, and we come in and ask for a waiver. We believe 45 days should get it finished. We ask the board's permission for that extension.
Is that correct, Don? That it shows that that was filed on January 31st?
That's right. She was, if I remember correctly, she was doing a garage and remodeling in a residential district. There was quite a lot that had to be done to both the home and the garage update it and get it where they need it. And, they're doing it on their own, you know, when the time frame can make it. And, you know, I trust Danny when he goes out, he keeps pretty close tabs on all these things. And thinks that another 45 days will allow it to get finished up.
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we accept, permit extension for 508 South Clay Street for 45 days.
I'll second that.
Roll call, please, Carol.
Mayor Sheets. Greg Miller, Megan Sheets.
On the waiver, out at the city airport, they made a kind of a deal with Frito-Lay and paving both parking lots at 3405 West Route 28, that would be the old Mallory plant. They've actually been parking their trailers on there and didn't quite get a lot of permission from the airport to do that. So the deal was that if they were to pave the asphalt on the parking lot, that they could go ahead and park their trailers there. Well, when we found out that that was about to happen, we got hold of the airport to remind them that, hey, you got to still have a permit to do those things. And being the fact that it is the airport authority that is granting this to be done, we ask that the board waive that permit, the cost of that permit, even though it's Frito-Lay that's doing the project.
I don't have enough experience to know what type of precedent that was set, is that a customary request? I need to ask that before.
Is this the airport authority parking lot?
Yeah, it's a parking lot. Mallory belongs to the airport authority. They're paving the parking lot and worked out a deal with Frito-Lay to do it because they're parking there.
And it's a publicly owned parking
I don't think so. I think it's the two parking lots that belong to Mallory's itself and they were open. So I don't know if they're public. The process that Mallory's is going on is being purchased by a company there. And when they set out to use or have somebody use the parking lots, they're supposed to work out a deal and then the airport gets a percentage of that cost. Well, that didn't get done.
But Mallory owns the
Airport owns Mallory's.
That's what I understood.
Yes, yes,
It's publicly owned property.
yes.
You have the authority to waive this if you want to.
Is that something Tom needs approval from the board? Can he do that?
No, I think a motion should be made.
Okay. I'll make a motion that we accept the waiver.
When I said you, I meant the board.
Yeah. Okay. The balance presented for the airport authority.
I'll second that.
Roll call, please, Carol.
Mayor Sheets. Greg Miller, Megan Sheets.
That's all that I have. I will do a little bit of updating on what's going on in our office. This Thursday, Daniel will be taking his residential certification test. And once he gets through with that, then the next thing around will be commercial, and then we'll work our way towards industrial. Last week in the heavy rain, we had a MS4 Rule 5 violation out at South Ridge. After the over 1 inch rainfall that we had, wrote up a violation about it, went out and had a long discussion. And South Ridge is very, very cooperative, has already made a lot of changes to their MS4. Today we had over an inch of rain, 1.1 inch of rain. Steve actually, or South Ridge actually called me and asked me if we had a breach, and I looked at the creek, and it's a little cloudy, but not as bad as it was. So we all went out there and we did a walkthrough again, and a couple more changes we're gonna make, and hopefully we'll get that under control. May not get it done before a heavy rainfall tonight, but being the fact it's all muddy out there, it's difficult to get these equipment around. But we're working very, very hard at putting in a check dam, and once the check dam gets put in place and all the storm water gets ran, then this will all be done, all go away. Mary Henry, we might have talked a little bit about this at the last Board of Works meeting. She had a fir tree that had been in the family for a long time, and it got stripped by a tree across Moon Street that belonged to Ron Wagner. And it was gonna cost her like about $3,000 to get the tree down. So we had talked a lot to Ron Wagner about coming in, removing that tree for Mrs. Henry, and that took place on Friday. The tree's down. The street department, Jason Forrest, I was very thankful for him on Friday. The tree came down, Jason got it all hauled down, and it was a lot. This tree was about 100 foot tall. And so in a one day time, we got the tree down, hauled away, and everything went very, very well. But we're very thankful for the street department to come in. I mean, it was a lot of wood that had to go out. So thank Jason for that. We'll soon be coming to the city council for some ordinance changes in our costs. We want to raise our industrial permits from $500 to $1,000. And then what we want to do with $500 is we don't have an industrial implementation permit. So we're going to use the $500 for that. So we're changing our industrial permit from $500 to $1,000. We're taking the $500 that goes on the industrial permit and moving it to the renovation we never had. We want to change by removing the 36-inch pool that's in our, this is not in the ordinance, this is on the cost page, what we charge people for the permit. We got into a massive discussion from people about, well, you know, mine's just under 36 inches. So it doesn't need to be permitted. They all need to be permitted. So we want to remove that from our ledger so that that's what they're going off of when they pull it up online. So we're asking to remove that. We're also asking to, we're trying to separate portable buildings that are pallets, kind of like skids, from buildings that are on foundations. And so we're changing some of it. A landlord owns 1001 East Clinton Street, has to be coming soon to abandon this so that we can then bring it in front of the hearing board to get it torn down. And I'm going to give Les after the meeting night, 904 East Clinton Street. We've done all our work on that, and we're getting ready to move into a stage of maybe trying to get it to a court action to see what we get done with the house. Other than that, that's all. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Don. Next on the agenda is the Parks Department, and I believe Barb is on the phone with us. Are you there, Barb?
Yes, ma'am, I am.
Okay, we did have on here the approval. We did have on here the approval of the Country Park pricing, and I don't think we're gonna go ahead and make any decisions on that this evening.
That sounds good, no problem.
Okay.
The second thing I have for you guys, it's going to be our neighborhood center. We have a gentleman that's going to have birthday and baptism there. Going to be September 6th, and they will be serving alcohol. So we requested that they provide their permit for that, which they have done. You guys have in front of you. They're going to have less than 100 people, although that was not a requirement. That is what they are sticking to. That's going to be out of the neighborhood center. And so they have provided pretty much everything we've asked for, and they've taken our information packet. All we ask is that the board approves them for that birthday and baptism on September 6th.
All right, this is Megan. I just want to be sure that you also agree that the neighborhood center with the restrictions, if they were in place as they are today, if they did that up to that 100 individuals, would that still be in compliance, the space that's there?
What was the last part you said, Megan? I'm sorry.
That's okay. That if our COVID policies and practices were in place on September 6th as they are today, would the occupancy of no 100 at the neighborhood center be suitable?
Unfortunately, I think with my connection, I'm not able to understand. Maybe someone closer could ask me. I apologize.
Pull that towards you a little bit, Megan. Can you pull that closer to you?
You want me to repeat? Or can you hear me better?
No, I think it's the microphone. Just pull it closer to you. Yeah.
Art, can you hear me better?
Yes, I can.
Okay, sorry. Yes, I was just going to ask about the occupancy as of that date, if they say no more than 100. And if everything is in place for COVID practices as they are today on September 6th, would that space comply with that many in attendance?
As far as we know, they're complying with everything. We told them, things may change. So I think they're, if we end up telling them they can't, they would be okay with that. If that's what
Sure. I think my actual question is the spaces at the neighborhood center, will it comply with 100 with the required distancing and masks?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we can have well over that. Yes, ma'am, we can.
Okay.
They can have up to 100 and they would be able to social distance them.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to be sure. I appreciate it.
Yes, ma'am.
Or Les and I were just talking, we're wondering, were there insurance requirements in serving alcohol?
They have to have the general, I think the general liability policy, they have not less than $1 million. That says that on the first page, which is number 2. And so, yes, they have provided that to us.
Do they have to permit the Indiana alcohol tobacco?
Yes, they do. It was provided to them April 6th, 2018, and it expires April 6th of 2021.
Okay, well, make sure you get a certificate of that insurance. Oh, it's on there. Okay. There it is.
Yes, sir.
Did anyone else have any questions for Art on that?
I've got a question, not necessarily for Mark, but for the board. One of the issues I have with signing off on all of the parks would be a situation that we have alcohol. The way it reads right now, they have to provide police officers in excess of 200 persons. My question would be, it says that anticipated attendance is no more than 100, but obviously that could change a lot. I'm just wondering if we don't want to look at the policy that if there's alcohol served, that we have a requirement of at least one police officer being there, not only for the sake of alcohol being present, but to be compliant with the COVID restrictions that we have in any of the facilities. I think that's something that we can look at doing for all the parks, not just the neighborhood center.
We would do that. But it would be up to the prison to provide that police officer.
Yes, they would have to pay. And I think that's what we do with the prison. We private party has to pay for that.
Have you discussed that with them at all, or?
Usually that's a number.
Or even
That
if alcohol's present. I don't know, If the police chief has any comment on that?
Here. Hold it down in the bottom.
All right, well, there was a party at the airport hangar last week, and I required the family to hire 2 officers. You want me to come closer? Okay. It, really one officer for a party, I would say there needs to be an officer there, at their cost. But depending on how many people are there, is how many officers that I would require, them to have their officer safety purposes. So, I think there was 250 at the airport. They hired 2 officers, for about 4 hours. That's not a requirement. I don't know if the airport required that or the insurance required it, but the family had, to call me and ask for that, those additional officers. And the pay, $40 and up per hour per officer, a lot of people don't want to pay that. And so they would have a choice, or they would have a party. I can't staff it on a Saturday night, or I don't know what this one is. On a weekend, yeah. I think an exception is required. We might do that later.
I just think, for us, we could do diligence for that. Obviously, with, it just seems, with the parks all being included as well, I don't like it, all the parks, in Frankfurt, that's not something we should think about doing. Looking at that, on this particular instance, it adds $320 for one police officer for the amount of time that they have.
Greg,
Yes.
currently just the neighborhood center and Prairie Creek Park are the only 2 locations where alcohol is allowed. It's not across all city parks.
So I agree with you, Greg, if we could put that in place for future consideration. Is this something that we would, do we approve this contingent upon that revision, or approve this as an exception and then moving forward?
I think, if we look at this, I think, if I look at the alcohol rules and regulations in park property use in the city of Frankfurt, it designates that for park property, all land, water, buildings, and other improvements under the jurisdiction of the Board of Works and the Parks Department. So I was reading that that would be every park that we have in all park property. So I guess that's something for us to look at for what that includes.
Do you remember mine getting clearance?
Well, I think the ordinance stated that they were only allowing alcohol in 2 locations. Neighborhood center and Prairie Creek. Rest of the other parks can have alcohol.
But as far as the police protection or whatever, security, I don't know that was addressed in the ordinance, was it?
I think it's part of that application.
Yeah, it's part of the application. I just wasn't sure if it was part of the ordinance or not. I remember we passed that a while back.
I don't remember.
Because there was some discussion on that as well as to what parks and different things as far as.
I know the park was limited to 2. The neighborhood center and Prairie Creek.
Okay.
That's the only 2 parks for buildings.
This is something probably Bart, we need to look into. As far as the ordinance that was passed and also these rules and regulations for alcohol. See, if it's something that we need to change. Les said we could go ahead and make a change just for this as well. So you would have to get a hold of those people to make sure that they'd be willing to agree with that.
Well, and just so the board member knows, they are required to have at least one officer for that event. Anytime they serve alcohol, they have to hire a police officer. So when they sign the application and they give it to us for me to present, we let them know their next step is to contact the police department, because within 48 hours, they have not given us the notice that the police will be there, then they cannot have their event.
According to these rules, it says in excess of 200. Did you see anything anyplace else differently? I didn't either. It says in excess of 200 persons, a minimum of 2 police officers. But you're telling them at the time that they want the rental that they would have to hire a police officer.
So when it says on page 2, number 3, it says the event that alcohol will be present or served, they have to hire an officer, and they know that.
Okay.
So even if it's 10 people, technically this form, they have to hire an officer if they're going to serve alcohol for an event.
And Scott, you're saying it's better to have 2? Is that
I don't
correct?
know, I don't even know about this one. What is it?
Yeah.
This is at the neighborhood center.
Yeah, it's at the neighborhood. The 200, which at 200 it requires 2. Do you say it should be 2 no matter?
No, I don't think it should be 2 no matter what, but if it's 100, I think that's the 1. I don't know who's the police, the attendants, us, or the marshal. But I don't know about this one, so I'll just have to get the name from Barb.
They haven't contacted you yet.
Okay, Scott said he has not been contacted. He doesn't believe by these people yet to provide the security.
Was there waiting on our approval before they do so?
I think having the police officer in place before you approve it. Yeah, okay, so Barb, what we're thinking is, as the Board of Works, that before we will approve this, we want to make sure that they have the police officer in place.
Yes, ma'am, that sounds good.
Okay, so when you come to us with a permit, anything involving alcohol, you could go ahead and make sure that they understand that and that they have spoken with the police department and willing to, take on that additional cost. So if you want to bring this back to the next meeting, after you check on that, ask us to.
Yes, I can do that.
Okay.
And that's all I have for you guys for tonight.
Okay, I did notice all the trash containers out, looking good. Parks are looking really good.
Thank you very much. Yep, they should be out everywhere now. They're actually distracted. Today, they pretty much collected the rest of the white barrels.
I see we're getting trees at Prairie Creek Park. You haven't started plants yet though, right?
We did start plants. Tomorrow we will have the rest of the plants finished. All the plants are done around the splash pad. All of them are done around the bathroom, and the event center. All trees are in place other than 3. And we are just waiting to coordinate with an electrician due to them running some power where they shouldn't have. Other than that, all the planting, landscaping, everything, will be finished by Thursday here at Prairie Creek Park.
Okay, thank you, Barb. That's all you have for us today?
Yes, ma'am, that is all. Thank you.
Thank you, Barb. Community Development Director, Amy, did you say you don't have anything for us today?
No, I don't have a report today. The only thing I would like to mention is that COVID testing is still happening in the city of Frankfort. We have updated that information on our website under the COVID information. It's posted on our social media. I know there's some people in the community who seem to have some questions about where it is. They're welcome to call my office if they have any questions, but we are sharing that actively as those locations and dates are updated.
Okay, thank you, Amy. Human Resources.
We don't have anything for human resources.
Okay, and then next we have the attorney who has 3 resolutions that we need to bring up.
Can you have Greg, just have Greg turn his microphone towards, yeah, there you go.
Okay, the first one is RB Resolution 20-07, resolution extending temporary work rules and compensation of appointed officers, deputies, and other employees to the police and firefighters of the city due to emergency circumstances. And what this does is it extends the time of the previous resolution addressing this, resolution 20-03, 30 days from the date of the adoption of this one. And that's following the governor's extension of his order.
Because we did have, I can ask you the question, about if they choose not to have COVID testing, then we, was talked about, but that is a part of the motion on this.
No, that's not a part of the resolution.
No, when we talked to you, Caitlin said she talked to you the other day, and he said something to be part of the motion.
Oh, yeah. A motion and a second that carries has the same effect as a resolution. It's just not.
Okay. And,
We need to do that separately from this.
you know, we should pass that with, you know, part of that. Because we were thinking that they didn't agree to the COVID testing, then this was not.
No, I see.
Why didn't, am I correct on that?
I can see that this would be an extension of the former resolution,
All this does is extend the form of resolution. It doesn't address anything.
and then we could address the other form of motion.
That's how I thought you.
Okay.
So I'll make a motion that we pass resolution 20-07.
Second that.
Roll call, please, Carol.
Mayor Sheets,
Aye.
Craig Miller,
Aye.
Megan Sheets.
Resolution 20-07 passes.
Did you want to do that motion now or go on to the next resolution first?
I think now would be okay.
Okay.
If I can state it properly. This was during the discussion of processes and policies with the COVID. And Greg, please feel free to correct me if I can get it different. But in the event that we have a city employee that of course we ask to be tested, receive the COVID testing, so that we can document the availability of their return to the workplace. If they're complying with the testing requirements and the time for waiting, then they would have the opportunity to let that be paid time and not docked against their accrued time. Should they refuse the testing, then it would be their nickel, so to speak. It would be against their own accrued time, and if they exhausted the accrued time, it would be leave without pay. If I got that correct down for a motion. Okay.
Do it, get it all written down properly. That's why a resolution really is better. It's in place. You don't have to go back. I thought I had prepared something last month along these lines. The administration decided not to address it at that time.
Yes, we did not, we didn't follow through with that, yes, because we didn't have a protocol in place, and so then we kind of separated it out into this, and then we have the mask one.
It's okay to do this by motion as long as we know clearly what the motion is, because it does affect pay.
So we could use this for a temporary, resolutions and address that. I'll second your motion.
Roll call, please, Carol.
Mayor Sheets, Craig Miller,
Aye.
Megan Sheets.
The next resolution is resolution number 20-08, resolution establishing guidelines pertaining to public face covering requirement. And this is along the almost identical lines as a resolution I believe that was adopted this past week by the Utility Service Board for its employees. it just sets out the various places and times that employees must wear a face mask. And I can go through those if you want me to, Mayor.
You might look at it, we have our department heads
Right,
here.
inside any business, public building, or other indoor place which is open to the public unless the employee is in the employee's own workspace. If they go greet somebody at the door or in front, they're there to wear their face mask. At any time, an employee must enter a citizen's residence. They have to wear it. In any outdoor public space where social distancing cannot be maintained. At any time, when two employees are sharing a vehicle while performing essential duties of employment or during business hours. This includes personal vehicles as well as vehicles owned by the city of Franklin. If an employee enters a residential property and the resident is outside, the employee must wear a face covering. An employee may be exempt from the above requirements if the face covering poses a risk to the employee relating to performance of his or her job duties, or if the employee has a legitimate medical need to refrain from wearing the device, as evidenced by a doctor's note. This resolution shall be effective upon its adoption, which shall be null and void upon the expiration of the public health emergency declaration by the governor of the state of Indiana under Executive Order 20-02, and any future executive order which may declare continuation of public health emergency due to COVID-19. Resolution 20-08.
Do either one of you have any questions on this? I will ask Carol that if this gets passed this evening, would you see that each department gets a copy of this, the city departments? And then I'm going to ask the department heads to make sure that you make each one of your employees aware of the mask regulations. Would either of you like to make a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we accept resolution 20-08, resolution establishing guidelines pertaining to public face covering requirements.
I'll second.
Roll call, please, Carol. Mayor Sheets. Aye. Greg Miller.
Aye.
Megan Sheets. Aye. And then we have to sign up on these resolutions. Ready for the next one?
I have been called numerous times in the past months by a budding landowner at 1057 Walnut Avenue. That is a vacant lot that I think in years past the city at one time might have demolished the building. Anyway, it went through a tax sale and it was not sold, but the commissioners then executed a tax deed that paid it to the city some time ago. There is a special statutory procedure for selling properties to abutting landowners that we usually use in these situations, although you can open it up to the public. At some point, an ad goes in the paper anyway, allowing anyone in the public to bid. But if you don't receive a bid, then or if you don't receive a bid that you are requesting, then this first procedure for abutting landowners allows them to buy for a lesser price. This particular lot is very narrow. Its assessed valuation, according to the county auditor, is only $3,000. And so I prepared this resolution authorizing the sale of surplus real estate using that figure as sort of an offering price, although the board can determine any figure it wants. Since the property is assessed for less than $6,000, it does not need to be appraised. Or it wants to have it appraised, it certainly may have it appraised. So it's just a fairly simple resolution that follows the statutory guidelines. And along with that resolution is an invitation to receive offers to purchase that real estate and notice to bidders. And sets out the legal description and the address and what the minimum bid offering price is. And I just used the assessed valuation, which is supposed to be market value of $3,000. Again, if you want to increase that, you certainly may. And it has written bids to be received beginning August 19th. And the sale will continue until 4 p.m. on September 7th. And the city reserves the right to reject any and all bids. I did put in here, if you choose to go, the board chooses to go with that fairly low requesting offer, instead of the seller finishing title insurance, the buyer wants anything, they can get it themselves, pay for it. Property to be sold as is. And there's some statutory requirements there in paragraph 7 and 8. And that would need to be published twice in the regular paper when we required. I used August 19th and 26th. So there will be more of these coming down the line through my work and Don's. But this fellow had been very interested in purchasing this property for some time. So I finally got around to preparing the paper.
Last, do you see any, is there any advantage or disadvantage to offering this just to budding landowners, or?
You still have to advertise it as an open bid.
Okay.
The preference that's given the abutting landowners is if no one's interested,
Okay.
you can always give it to them.
Okay.
But you still have to advertise it. And you do not have to have it.
Would either of you like to make a motion to approve resolution 20-09?
Yes, I'll make the motion to approve resolution 20-09. Thank you, Liz, for your work on this.
That's all I have.
Second.
Roll call, please, Carol.
Mayor Sheets. Greg Miller.
Aye.
Megan Sheets.
Motion passes. Les, thank you so much for your work on all these resolutions tonight. Keep you busy. Carol, then you'll see that this gets advertised and on the agenda then for September. What's the date on that? Okay, September 7th at that meeting. We'll open the bids at that time. Okay, thank you. Okay, did anyone else have anything for this evening's meeting? Carol? Okay, I think we're good. We'll go ahead and adjourn the meeting then. 6:10, thank you.